Startup ecosystem, what the idea is that you have to learn how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And once you learn how to do that, then you can bring in all the stakeholders and you can get into programs that'll help you and train you on how to build it. But that first step is you have to design a business model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got Startup on the Blocks. So I need you to start coming to Startup on the Blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive, and so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up, and that's not very efficient unless if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America. We do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally. And we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about and language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow. Send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through and understands where you're at, your culture and how you respond to things, is a big help because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard. And Lloyd is here, he's a great resource to the community and to founders that's trying to learn the ecosystem. So join Startup on the Blocks.
That's a good idea, join Startup on the Blocks. Welcome, everybody. It's another Thursday, and we're excited to be here, excited about our guests as well. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. And see some of your audience is here too, so that's fantastic. We appreciate you all showing up to check out Startup on the Blocks. First off, what we're going to do is that I want to share my screen and give a shout out to some of our sponsors, and I'll come back and let you introduce yourself. Yeah, and so it's always good to kind of network and be around other founders so we can kind of learn from each other. But we only get to do that with the Startup on the Blocks just based on our sponsors and partners who actually support the efforts we're doing here online. Yes. So it's so I'll give so kind of the way we work is in order to support founders, we partner with other organizations and other software companies that may provide free stuff for founders. And so the Blacks in Technology Foundation, we partnered with them a couple of years ago to kind of expand our reach. Startup Science, the little bubble here, here is a training platform that we have that we make available to anybody that actually wants to get on there and learn about the life cycle phases of building a startup. And the neat thing about that, David, is that it was developed by a gentleman who had went through 12 exits totaling billions of dollars. So everything he learned, he put it in the platform. So with that, you get in there and you learn, from setting your vision all the way to an exit. And it's got a bunch of tools in there with that actually helps you figure out stuff like your market size, and it's got all kind of tools in there to kind of support the founders. But the good thing is, if anything you have a question about being a startup founder, there's lessons in there on that. You can just go in there and jump, to that lesson and get that information, and you'll be prepared to talk to any program or organization or investor or whatever if you go through that training. Coda is basically, I kind of love Coda because you can literally run your whole back office with Coda for a startup. That's a pretty neat deal. And the partnership we have with them is they give startup founders 6 months free of Coda and with unlimited AI. And so it integrates to almost any application. And so recently, late last year, Grammarly bought Coda. So have you ever used Grammarly, Daniel?
Yes, sir, I have.
Yeah. So, have, what's the secret to Grammarly?
What's the secret?
To Grammarly, what's neat about it?
Um, what's neat about it? I mean, it just works exactly the way it's supposed to. That's what's magical for me,
Yeah,
you
but
know? Yeah.
almost any application you got on your computer is already integrated to it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so so that's what's neat about it. Whereas Coda, on the other hand, its approach was being able to integrate with other applications inside of Coda. So
Mm.
which was a neat benefit. So you can bring all your data into one place and look at it, and you can run a website with it, or run your back office. It can mimic almost any software. That's what's so great about it. So with the combination of both of those together is now uh, Coda's gonna have two ways into applications. It's like a pretty neat marriage that they have. So that's good.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Yep, and so wouldn't you like to have a doorway into every application that somebody uses?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the way things are going moving forward. We're seeing
Mhm.
things all kind of plug into one another. So it's a one-stop shop.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so I'm not sure what
Mhm.
that somebody wants to be have to interview their startup. I'll be glad to interview any startup. I guess that's what that's trying to say there. But yeah, and the next thing we got is a partnership. We got is Make Startup, and that's we partnered with them last year, and they have an excellent training platform. But the neat thing about it, it grades your entrepreneurship skills. So if you got any
Mm.
doubt about that, so that's what's neat about that. So it was built with AI in mind as well. So like let's say we're going to run a big pitch competition, or whatever, we can use that platform and it'll grade and rank all the applications automatically. And so that's pretty neat. PitchBob is another AI application that the partnership we have with them, you get it at half price. And it's just a one-time payment, and it generates all your startup documentation, plus gives you access to $1 million worth of perks, like 25 grand, and uh, from like for that's Microsoft startups, so 25K in Azure credits. It's just got so many perks like that. It's like it's really neat. And our favorite platform is the Lean Stack, because that's the foundation. For everything is, when you're doing a business, you need to build a scalable business model, and so that's what that's all about. So, and through these other organizations, we connect with other founders and programs, to kind of move forward. So, so just like this Black Innovation Alliance, they, just by being a member of that, have the opportunity to apply for a $25,000 grant. No restrictions. So that's like a excellent partnership. And through Black Innovation Leaders of Florida, we're basically able to give free patent and trademark training to Florida founders. So it's a pretty fantastic deal as well. Yeah. And these some of the funders, and so that's always important to have funders to kind of help you do stuff. So these are a few other funders that sort of support what we're doing as well. And there's also some partners in there. Okay, so let's see what else I got here. All right, your turn. Why don't you do like a little short introduction of yourself so people know who you are?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Howdy, y'all. My name is Daniel Holznecht. I'm the founder and CEO of Buildabrain.AI. Buildabrain.AI is the tool I built initially for college students. It's an AI study tool for college students that helps them turn their study materials and curriculum into virtual professors that they can ask questions. And rather than getting an answer from the internet, they're getting an answer directly from their study materials. Um, and then kind of the business side of it is we're using the same underlying technology for small businesses, we help small businesses use AI for AI-powered research and study, for AI-powered customer support. You essentially turn your help articles into an AI customer support person that you can put on your website, and for AI-powered employee training and onboarding. And so, in its simplest terms, it's an custom AI chatbot builder.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that's excellent. Yeah, so that's a lot of use cases there. So we're gonna definitely dig in a little deep and kind of figure out where you came up with that idea from and your background a little bit. So I think I got a couple more slides here just to kind of uh, so yeah, so we have a Black Founder program, and the easiest way to get to that is apply.kakuinstitute.org, and we run cohorts, based on our sponsorships and stuff like that. But that's basically the business model, the design, training, and the what do you call it? The demand validation for whatever your idea is. And this is a new program I was just telling you about through Black Innovation Leaders of Florida. So so there's free training both on patents and trademarks, and so we have an AI agent tool where you can ask questions about the training, and we also use Notebook LM to actually create a podcast, just to give you some background information as well. So there's an application for that on our Kaku Institute Get Started page. So feel free to sign up for that as well. Yeah, and so I want to show a couple of charts, and I noticed Ash Moria, who invented the lean canvas, he posted this chart online either earlier today or yesterday. I don't remember which one. And I posted that I love this chart, and the chart is actually counterintuitive. So are you familiar with the lean canvas at all, Daniel?
This is the first time I'm seeing it.
Okay, so basically, these little icons here are lean canvas. So like the one-page business plan, Ash derived this from the business model canvas, which was for more established businesses. And so the neat thing about it, once you dump whatever is in your head onto one of these canvas, so like this thing here's the customer segment, this is the problem segment, this is the solution, this is your metrics, this is your unique value proposition, this is your unfair advantage, your marketing channels, your pricing, and your cost. And so so for your product or service, you have a pricing model, you have some cost involved in doing that. You market it to, your first customer segment was to like students, and now you're small businesses, and it's to solve a certain problem, and your brain, your product is the solution. And and so you bring value to the customer. And so what's great about this chart, once you dump your idea, and this doesn't, it could be just at the idea stage, or you could be for an existing business. But what you do, if you notice over here on to the left, you got this big idea canvas, but over to the right, you got product market fit. And that's what the holy grail for all startups is, to reach that product market fit. But if you notice, some of these things are red, some are green, but you see how your business, this one page, this lean canvas is your one-page business plan, but you notice this doesn't start getting validated to when you reach that problem solution fit milestone. So that's kind of key there. But it's from just looking at this chart, do you see? Well, let me explain one more thing, and then it'll make more sense. So this second row here is, after you do this big idea canvas, you duplicate the canvas into variants, but each of these variants is based on like a customer segment. So like this one would be for students, and it could be for like college students, high school students. You see what I'm saying? And then the next one could be for small businesses, and so on and so forth. So depending on, but most of those solutions, you have the variants, you have a different pricing model, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and small business let's say this is students. The students have a different problem they're trying to solve than the small business, let's say, segment. So that's what the idea here is. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to look at all these different customer segments, and you want to stress test them in this order for desirability, viability, and feasibility. So,
Gotcha.
so if you do these stress tests, you end up with a business model that you can pitch, but that business model conforms to all these three things: it's desirable, viable, and feasible. So most people work on a business idea for years, but startup, but they don't even know the viability of it. And so that's what these stress tests are for.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so if you notice, as you're going from left to right, you're getting less and less customer segments, right?
Yes, sir.
Because the stress tests are weeding out the customer segments that can you imagine trying to market to students, small business, enterprise customers all at once? It'll be pretty tough when you're just getting started, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's what the purpose of this is, kind of to get your focus down. So whereas this particular desirability is based on the customer segment, the problem they have, and the unique value proposition that you're bringing to them. This stress test is based on your pricing model and your metrics, but we use a tool called a traction roadmap. And that tool, you set a 3-year annual recurring revenue goal, and then it tells you everything. It works backwards to figure out what you have to do today, each month, to reach that goal. So yeah, and so it basically, instead of doing all these forecasts, you figure out what your goal is first, and then work backwards to figure out what you have to do. And the tool in the lean stack, it takes 5 minutes to do this.
Gotcha.
So you can determine if your pricing models are viable or not before you go out and build an MVP or anything. Yeah. And that's what the idea behind this is. And then your feasibility test involves the cost, your solution, and your unfair advantage and your channels. But yeah, but that's kind of what the idea of this lean stack process is. It takes you through a methodology that you can follow, and you can reach certain milestones, and you know where you are in the process based on this. And so you have you're out there marketing your product, so you're definitely past this problem solution fit milestone, but you may have not made it to this product market fit milestone.
Right.
You see, yes, and so it's
Yes, sir.
just a matter of knowing where you are. And let's see if I got a couple other charts here. So this is another phase chart, but I think this is not this one. This is the one I showed. This is the one for the startup size. So it takes you from a vision to an exit. So it's more focused on the phases that you're. So you're at the product phase. You went to market, but you maybe haven't standardized all your processes yet, and then optimize them so you can actually grow your business.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what this is. Yep. But yeah, that's basically the the trainings we offered, and the advantage of using these processes, so you know where you are, and you can communicate where you are, and that you can actually get help to do what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's excellent. Yeah, a
Yep.
good framework goes a really, really long way,
Yes.
especially when you're starting with a blank canvas.
Oh, for sure. And that's the value of it. And I tell people the story when I worked for the Air Force Research Lab most of my career, and every project we worked on, it it basically had never been done before. So, but so what the deal was, we had a methodology that we followed. So we didn't care if it had never been done before. We just followed the step-by-step methodology. And that's what the lean startup, lean framework does. It takes you through a methodology for building a startup where you can minimize the risk in that. And I think that is, you can feel a lot more comfortable knowing where you are and in your journey as a founder. Yeah, ready. All right, so definitely I'd like to share that because we always get new people on and they may not understand what we're trying to do, but that training I just told you, it's available to anybody that wants it. We make it available to anybody that wants it. You just go to our CocoInstitute.org get started page, and you'll see the links on there to kind of get hooked in to move forward. Yeah. All righty. Well, I appreciate you bearing with me on that. And so next we want to kind of learn a little bit more about you and your journey as a startup founder. So just kind of did you grow up here in Pensacola? And so what was the idea that you had on what your career was going to be when you were a child?
Yeah. So yeah, Pensacola is home. I was born
Okay.
in Virginia, but I was raised here. My dad was military.
Okay.
Hi, Dad. Dad's in the string.
Okay.
And
Hello, Dad.
yeah, and
That's
yeah.
great.
So I knew pretty early on that I wanted to do software development.
Oh,
What
fantastic.
type of software development? There was kind of a bit of a coin flip. Initially, it was looking like game design development, and I
Hmm.
pivoted to web design development
Okay.
because I found that it was the same itch being scratched, basically in a different industry, but
Yeah.
it had everything that I wanted about game design.
Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah.
um,
What was your exposure to that gave you that insight that you wanted want to have a career in that area?
yeah. So coding specifically, I took a coding class in 8th grade. Wasn't even high
Okay.
school yet, and
Okay.
it was a lot of block-based coding.
Hmm.
They didn't throw us right into JavaScript or anything like that, but I fell in
Hmm.
love with that class,
Yeah.
and from then it was history. I just knew that software development was going to be my thing. I love designing things, but then I love bringing
Hmm.
them to life. And that's pretty much all that software is. You have an idea, and then you try to build it.
Okay. 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 So how did you kind of mature that interest in high school and college, etc.?
Yeah, so a lot of it was just self-study. I find that if you're curious about something, you you hunt for it, you search for it, you research for it, you play around, you experiment. And so in high school, a lot of it was just trying to build video games, right? Kind
Okay.
of indie projects and stuff like that. And there was a class I took. It was AP Computer Science in high school. It was my junior year with
Okay.
Mr. Bloomer. He was
o-
excellent, excellent.
Okay.
And
Which school
that
was that? Which school was that?
Booker T. Washington High School.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
that was good because AP Computer Science, we got away from the block coding into basic JavaScript into real coding languages, and that class set me up very well for knowing what I was getting into when I majored software design development in college at the University of West Florida.
Okay. Okay. So did were your parents or relatives or friends was any of those in the field of software development or IT or anything like that or engineering?
Good question. Um, I don't believe so. Yeah,
Okay. So
this is
this is
something that I wanted to do.
yeah. So you scratch your own itch there, and I will say that's the opportunity everybody has. If you're interested in something, there's no shortage of information on out there of things you could do to get it. And I think that's a lesson that you probably learned early on. You wanted to do that, so you just kept looking to figure out the resources to kind of get you the self-study that you wanted to do. And that's the kind of passion a person actually needs to kind of move forward. And so I hear a lot of people saying they want to do something, but they don't have the passion like you just explained to really learn how to do the self study to learn how to do it. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So what was that that college experience like in diving a little deeper into this software development?
Yeah. Well, it was a little tricky kind of getting off the ground, right? So my
Okay.
freshman year, we had one normal semester, and then the next semester was COVID.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, right. And so, I'm actually glad you mentioned that because, or you asked that question because, um, the problem that I wanted to solve with Buildabrain AI, it really emerged during COVID because what
Hmm.
happened was, um, the professors were scrambling to transfer all of their curriculum online. The
Okay.
students were scrambling to go to Zoom classes, and it's just not the same.
Gotcha.
But the
Right.
curriculum was just as hard as it ever was. And
Hmm.
so Build-A-Brain AI, in my mind, when I was designing it, I was like, I want a tool that will equip students to be more self-sufficient self-studiers.
Okay.
To where a good teacher is amazing and a great teacher will make a big difference in the life of a student. But push
Yes.
comes to shove, the student could still succeed, even if the education itself was a little rough around the edges.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That so yes. So the COVID thing, and so, but did that thing that sort of start working on an idea, or did it come the same kind of thing that wanting to build stuff like the games and indie programming and stuff like that? Is that's kind of the same passion you use?
Yes, sir. I think so.
Yeah.
The same desire to design and implement a solution. You know, for a video game, you're building systems. For web
Yeah.
design development, you're still building systems. For me,
Mhm.
it's different outcomes, but it's the same process, and I enjoyed the process.
Yeah. So did you find a similar students when you were, you know, during COVID when you came up with this idea?
Some of them, yeah.
Okay.
I felt a little, it's funny because most of the time when you think of software developers and engineers, they're typically pretty introverted. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not. Um, yeah, I am not introverted. And
Hmm.
so, but that did make it a lot of fun because I'll talk to a brick wall. I just love talking to people.
Okay.
And I will say, did I find people who were like-minded in the computer science program? Absolutely. And
Okay.
we
Good.
actually
Good.
had a number of collaboration projects um,
Okay.
that
That's
I got
important.
to spearhead, which was excellent.
Okay. So
Yeah.
like tell me a little bit about that because we're trying to get to the bottom, of, you know, just your journey and why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, why am I so passionate about it?
No, no, just like you
Right.
said, you worked on a couple of group projects or something. Just so tell me about that experience of being involved in some group projects in software development.
Yeah. Well, I will say that was a good opportunity for me to learn how to manage not large scale projects, but at least medium scale projects.
Okay,
Managing people is a little tricky, but it's a lot of fun once you get everybody pulling in the right direction.
gotcha.
Um, yeah, my college, the more I think about my college experience in computer science, it was pretty typical. There wasn't anything terribly eventful, minus COVID. COVID was pretty eventful, but outside of that, it was pretty ordinary.
Hmm.
Um, the I'll say what really put me on track for what I do now was definitely my first internship. I got my first
Okay,
internship my sophomore junior year of college, and that was a um, an eye opener for basically how
okay,
software development actually works. Because when you're doing group projects, you're doing with your students, with your peers, right?
gotcha.
And you're all equally confused as to what this looks like in the real world. As soon as you get an
Gotcha.
internship, now you are thrown in with people who have been doing this for years. You know what you can get. When I say what you can get away with, even like technical debt is a good example, right? The technical
Okay.
debt you could get away with in like a 6-month project with fellow students. You can't get away with that technical debt in um, a business setting, right? Because you're in it for the long haul, right? When
Yes.
when you're in
Hmm.
s- when I say that, so when you're in school, you're building projects that are going to last 6 months. When you're
Okay.
building a company or software for a company, you're building software that's going to last years, and the coding quality is night and day on
Yes.
6 months versus, Lord willing, a decade more. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what? Tell us a little bit about the internship.
It
Like, who
was
was it with?
interesting.
Who was it with? Or can you say or whatever?
Yeah, well, it was with a mass texting company for churches and nonprofits.
Okay.
That was the idea. And so,
Texting, you said?
yes, mass texting. So
Okay.
the idea is, nobody reads their emails. A lot of people don't, at least, right? Text messages
Right.
have a much higher open rate, and
Yes.
you can't just throw your whole congregation in a group chat. That's not going to fly, right? So
Okay.
you use a technology like the place I was working at, and they will essentially facilitate that mass texting for you. What was
Okay.
eye-opening about that experience, like even looking back on it now, is I say we were a big company with a small staff. We only had about
Gotcha.
15 people working at the company, but we were able
Okay.
to help around 5,000, 6,000 churches. And
Wow.
that's
That's
when
a
it
lot.
clicked with, right. And so number of churches per person on staff, that's when it clicked for me that software is pretty much
Powerful.
infinitely scalable, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um, yeah, and that's when I got really excited about um, kind of the economics of starting your own software company, you know. Um,
Gotcha. So that was, so what was your role at this particular company? Um, yeah.
Full stack developer. So now I
Okay.
was a junior developer, kind of starting out,
Okay.
and I'm glad it was full stack though, because there's value in specializing front end or back end or database
Mm-hmm.
or server stuff, right? But
Okay.
being a full stack developer, it taught me how to use, basically, it taught me beginning to end how software works. And had I not been a full stack developer back then, I wouldn't have known even where to start when I was
Gotcha.
building my
So
own company.
so explain to people the different parts of the full stack, the back end, front end, all that kind of stuff. So then the reason why I'm asking this question is because a lot of founders have ideas, but they don't
Mhm.
know this information you learn from this internship.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a simplification, a little bit of a generalization, but the way that software works, if you're doing a web application is a website, right? Is think when we say front end, we're talking about things that you see, right? Buttons, forms, inputs, colors, navigation menus, right? Anything that you see, that's front end, right? Back
Hmm.
end is once you submit the form, where does it go? Well, it goes to
Hmm.
your back end. That's where we do the processing, right?
Okay.
And so that's where what we call your business logic goes, right?
Hmm.
And then the database, right? The database is where stuff is stored for the long haul, right?
Hmm.
And so what you have, and then you have the server. The server is how it gets to the internet and how users access it. And so by the time you're done, if you're a full stack developer, you know how to display everything, right? You know how to
Hmm.
process everything. You know how to store everything, and you know how
Hmm.
to release new updates to everyone.
Okay.
And so that full stack experience was good because if I was an expert in front end development, but I didn't know the other stuff, I have beautiful buttons and beautiful forms, but I wouldn't know what the heck to do with it, right?
Gotcha.
That's you can't do that you can't build a company like that. You need all those pieces.
So
Right.
so when you, so was this one summer or this was a part-time job or what with this internship?
This was so actually this is interesting. So 1 year internship and then 6 months to a year as a junior developer. So basically 1.5 to 2 years.
Yeah, so like so were you um, doing both full time, going to school full time and doing that full time, or were you doing one part time? And
Yeah.
yeah,
So full-time school, part-time internship.
okay,
And
yeah, so that's so it's not just you went for a summer. You, this was an ongoing thing where you got to experience, for that whole year.
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay,
super helpful.
fantastic.
And it helped a ton for my classes that I was taking, because all this information I was learning from the internship, I could use that to ace my classes, because it's
Gotcha.
like, oh, I just did this last week at the internship and now I'm being tested on it in school. Worked out beautifully.
So so for a founder, if they don't understand all this front end, back end stuff, So I'm trying to think out loud. What should they do? Should they volunteer to or do something part time with a startup that's actually building something, so they can
Mm,
kind of understand the ins and outs, so they can learn. So I'm just trying to figure out, if you don't know something, how deep should you, you know,
mm,
what should you do to kind of understand what is required? Because a lot of founders, they'll go out and have somebody build a so-called MVP, but they go through three or four companies before somebody actually builds it. But the problem is, it's just because they don't know about the front end and the back end, like you're saying.
right. That's a really good question. Um,
Hmm.
it's a good question, and it doesn't necessarily have a. I hate to say it depends because that's not
Yeah,
very
yeah,
right, but
but
it really does depend. Yeah. For
yeah,
me as a developer, this is something that like I wanted to be a developer. It's what I've always wanted to do, right? And so marketing I have to learn, customer support I have to learn. I got to learn a lot of things, but software development is something that it's what I do. But if you don't have the heart of a software developer, should you code your own startup? Probably not.
not
You need
absolutely
to
not.
right.
But you need
I
to
would
be,
I would
you have
advise
some,
partnering.
yeah, partner that knows,
Mm,
and that. But yeah, I think just like, so right now, you have to lean on some marketers or some business development people, because that's not where your expertise lies, and so that's where you're building your team to bring all those things together to move forward.
yes, sir.
So now, so kind of show us a relationship between what you learn in this internship and and that leap to actually starting to work on your application.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Because you
So
said
basically,
go ahead.
no, no, no. What were you gonna?
No, I was just going to remind you what you said, that if you hadn't learned all this stuff during the internship, you don't know what you would have did, which, get started with your idea. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Providence is a funny thing. So, me and my dad talk about this. Man makes plans in his heart, but the Lord directs his steps.
yes,
Boy, that's true. Because
okay,
actually, I was when I interned with this company for a year. Um, I interned with them for a year. They hired me for basically 6 months after that, 8
okay.
months after that. 6 months, I was actually on artificial intelligence research. I was tasked with integrating AI into their company, and I
Oh,
did it.
okay.
It
So,
was really, really
okay.
cool. But this
Okay.
is this is this is where the funny providence comes in. I was actually fired about 2 months afterwards,
Oh,
and
wow.
right, and so now you can see how where the pivot comes in, right? Because
Okay.
it's actually interesting. I want to be as charitable as possible, but what happened was I was put on AI research, so I was learning
Yes.
Python. I was learning things that were not necessarily the daily operations of what that company did, right?
Right.
And so once they took me off AI research, well, now I'm really good at AI research, but I was not as familiar with what they do on the daily basis.
Right.
Basically, I was let go like 2 months after that,
Uh-huh.
because in their opinion, I was with them for a full year learning what they did, but that wasn't really accurate because I'd only been in the product for about 2 or 3 months, right?
Gotcha.
Not even.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Uh-huh.
actually 1 month before I got my first negative performance review. And I was like, I'm just figuring out where the door is. I've been
Yes.
doing AI stuff for the past 6 months. So once I got fired, um, about 1 week later, I was kind of over the course of that week, I was just thinking, do I want to start my own business? Because I built a prototype of what I'm doing now when I was in college. It was
Gotcha.
a rougher prototype, but it was the idea. It was my senior year. And
Yes.
kind of thinking about, do I want to retry this prototype and bring it to market? Because I was using it as a student, it was very helpful.
Yes.
And then, I don't think it was even 2 weeks later, I was like, we're going to go ahead and pull the trigger on it. We're going to try it. And
Okay.
so that was a year ago. Um,
Okay.
yeah, that's
Fantastic.
a year ago. Now we're here.
Okay. So I want to understand. So when did you actually graduate from UWF?
So I graduated. Oh boy, time flies, doesn't it? What was it? December of, I want to say 2022.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
December
Gotcha. Gotcha.
2022. I could check my certificate. I
Oh,
forgot.
no, 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 no. I was just trying to get an idea. So did you go find a job when you graduated, or what did you do, or did you just start your entrepreneurship stuff?
Yeah, so that internship was actually, so I started with junior year. Now that I'm thinking about it, junior year of college, that internship transitioned to my first full-time job.
Okay, gotcha,
And
gotcha.
so, yeah, yeah.
Understand.
So as soon as I graduated, I went full-time.
Okay, I got you. So you were literally um, um, interning with them, maybe part of your junior and senior year, and then yeah, and then you went full time. So so did you do another job to make money while you're working on your startup, or did you just dive in full force?
We just dived in. I
Okay,
was very intentional about putting away savings.
okay,
This is the kind providence, from God, because I was putting money away, not
gotcha.
knowing that I would need it.
Okay,
You know, um, I assumed I was going to be working at that company for a long time. That wasn't
hmm,
so, but I ended up putting a lot in savings. And so as I
fantastic.
launched Build-A-Brain, I took about 4 months to 6 months to build it. We've been marketing it for about 6 to 7 months now. I've just been pulling from savings. And so
Okay,
it's a
gotcha.
little sketchy, but
Yeah,
it was a calculated risk, and it made sense
yeah.
at the time, still makes sense. So just
Yeah,
did it.
but you got yeah, you got the skills. So tell me, did you pull together a team to make all this happen, or what?
Yeah, so everything was in-house. So um I built the whole thing myself, basically pulled all days, all nights. That's how we were
Okay,
able to complete it so fast. And
okay,
you know, the typical way that I see a lot of software startups go is they typically go into a large amount of debt to build the software in the first place,
yes,
with
yes,
the confidence that they're going to make that money back plus some later.
yeah,
And my approach to money has been different from that. I don't fault that approach, but it wasn't an approach that I was personally comfortable with.
yes,
Even UWF, one of the reasons why I went to a local university was because I knew that I could do that and come out debt free. And
gotcha.
so, and that was actually super important, because had I gone into debt for school, I wouldn't have had the savings to invest in this business. I would have
Right,
had to go into
right,
more debt. So,
yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah, so like I just want to make sure the audience understand. Typically, the way a startup ideally the way the startup is supposed to go is you come up with an idea, and when you look at the lean stack framework, you would actually stress test the idea, build a scalable business model around it, and then now you know how to pitch your business model, and then you use that to recruit co-founders that all the team that you need, and they get paid with equity, and
Right.
so you don't go out and go into debt, spending money to do something. You leverage all these startup programs to get the help you need to actually build it. The money and training, etc. And so, but you have to um, be able to pitch your idea clearly and concisely to a potential co-founder, or to pull the team in it. So in your case, it appeared that you had skills, pulling team together with your projects in college. That's a unique, great skill, and then you had the technical skills as well, but you needed the were you ever to bring in somebody to help with you in marketing or the business development or anything like that?
Um, Not up to this point, not
Okay,
really.
okay,
I've had some people who have been very charitable in giving me a lot of great advice,
okay,
and I'm a big believer in outsourcing.
okay,
I think Jeff Hoffman says, "Do what you do best, and then hire rock stars to do the rest." That way,
hmm,
you're always specializing in what you're doing, and other people are specializing in what they're doing. Everything
hmm,
turns out better doing it that way.
yes,
Um, yeah, interesting. I'm glad you actually brought up kind of the traditional way of getting startups off the ground, um, because you mentioned the equity, and that's
yeah,
actually something that, to the credit of my last company, there was a CTO and a CFO, and they were both
okay,
50-50 partners.
okay,
And one of the benefits of the way they did, kind of a grassroots, slow and steady
hmm,
wins the race sort of deal, they
yeah,
didn't take on any venture capital, any
right,
investments. They still to this day own 100% of their company.
yes,
And it was a slower way of going about it, but in the long run, they were able to keep us 100% of the pie. And so
yes,
that resonated with me. So you're right. I didn't necessarily have to go into debt, but you had to pick, basically debt or equity, or
Yeah.
just doing it by yourself.
Oh yeah.
And
So like so
yeah,
so this is the way I look at it. I look at so the equity part, that's just for from the co-founders and the initial team. But I avoid the debt part because there are a lot of startup programs that provide you funding to do and don't take equity. And
right,
so that's what the challenge that's the startup ecosystem. It will help you build what you're trying to build and help you fund it. And you don't have to get investment. Because there's plenty of non-debt type funding and non-investment type funding. So that's what the but you have to know how to communicate with the ecosystem, and that's the reason for the lean stack business model design, because if a program is going to give you $100,000, you have to, when you fill out the application to get in that program, they grade your application or look at your application. If you can't articulate your business model, you ain't getting that in that program to get that
right.
$100,000. That's what the bottom line is. So that's the advantage. You can actually avoid debt and equity other than your co-founders, and that's the thing that people don't realize. The ecosystem will help you do that, from corporate innovation programs. There's just so many different kind of programs. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you chose you so you said you outsource. So give me an example of some things that you may have outsourced.
Outsourcing. So good point. I'll tell you from kind of technological perspective, right? In software, we have something called APIs, right?
Yes.
And
Hmm.
APIs, if you guys are familiar kind of with how this works, the way I explain it to people who aren't in software is, Tesla makes their own cars, they don't make their own tires, right? They buy
Right.
someone else's tires, at least I think.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how software is too, right? We don't want to, it's not efficient to reinvent the wheel every single
Right.
time you build an application. And for me, one of the best examples when I was starting out, um, this isn't an outsourcing of people well, it kind of is. So when we were integrating payment processing, right?
Yes.
I was doing the digging on basically, okay, if we did payment processing from scratch versus if we outsource it, right? There was a package that was for, I think, $100
Okay.
that would help. It was a Laravel package in PHP. Um,
Okay.
and it was basically kind of an out of the box payment solution, secure,
Hmm.
tested by the best, integrated right with Stripe.
Yeah.
And for $100, it basically saved me at least 200 developer hours, probably more than that,
Fantastic.
right?
Fantastic.
And so
Hmm.
that's a little different from outsourcing your marketing person, but even in the encouragement I can give developers or people who want to get into that space, there are ways to outsource even parts of your projects so that you don't have to do everything from scratch. And actually, this is one of the reasons why I love small business approaches to things, because um, your limitations are an opportunity for you to create efficiencies. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when you see big companies, you see a lot of waste, right? Because they have
Hmm.
a lot of resources to
Yes.
waste. But when you're a
Hmm.
small business, you want to take advantage of smart options. You can only put your energy, so much manpower in a certain direction. And so you should be very careful as to where you put very selective as to where you put your manpower. And you want to find not cheap solutions per se, but legitimate outsourcing for these other problems that you don't necessarily have to solve from scratch.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So like when it comes to the AI, you had learned about AI from your other jobs and some of the resources there. Did you learn about any of that stuff in school at all?
So at the time when I was in school, there was zero classes on AI, zero introduction of AI. It was kind of in that time, and I think we're still there, where schools are very weary of AI. They don't want to touch it, and they're going to have to touch
Okay.
it. They don't realize that yet, but they're going to have to integrate this in some capacity.
Gotcha.
I was in
Gotcha.
college. ChatGPT was brand spanking new. They
Yeah.
didn't they didn't even want to go near it. So
Yeah,
um,
but I would assume that you didn't build your AI from scratch to understand those documents, or did you?
well, a little bit.
Okay.
That's where Python is pretty snazzy,
Yeah.
And now I will say, yeah, you're not going to build a large language model in your basement. At least probably
Yeah.
not. If you are, kudos to you. I'll
Hmm.
shake your hand. But
Yeah.
for for anything short of a large language model, I think Hugging Face is a marketplace for little AI models, and these are little AI models that are built on their own training sets, and
Yes.
they're not as big as say ChatGPT or DeepSeek or Claude AI, but some
Hmm.
of them are pretty substantial.
Yes.
And so I've had my fair share of creating my own little kind of baby artificial intelligence
Okay.
model.
Good. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Fantastic. So,
It's a great way to
so
see how they work for sure.
okay. So
Yeah.
let's use the rest of the time to kind of talk about what you built and the progress that you made with it so far. So, um, so if anybody in the audience would like to see a demo or anything, this would be a good time to ask or whatever. But I think it'd be a good idea if you show them what you built.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Let me go ahead and present my screen. So here's the concept in the simplest terms. You guys let me know if you can see this.
I'll let you. Yeah, I can see it. I'm gonna pull it up
And
here. Yeah, let me get rid of this. Okay, go right
okay,
ahead.
so this is Buildabrain.AI. This is the platform that I've built for college students and small businesses. And the idea is, you have ChatGPT, you have Claude AI, you have these big, large language models that are trained off of the entire internet. And that's helpful for general, I'll say broad research, right? Anywhere where a Google search is helpful, ChatGPT is typically a pretty good way to find information. The issue is when you need something that you need to deep dive in and learn in detail, right? Say something that's specific to your class, something that's specific to your textbook. ChatGPT and these other large language models, they either may not be aware of the information that you need to research, or you're going to have an impossible time finding it because the haystack is the size of the internet and you're looking for the needle of your textbook, right? And
Hmm.
so the solution that I had was essentially to make your own little AI chatbots, your own little GPTs, if you will, that
Okay.
wasn't trained on the internet, but just trained off of your personal data. And so I'll
Yes.
give you an example. Right here, we've got Law Environment 101. This is from a college textbook. Let me go ahead and hide this real quick. And so the idea is, if I ask, what are the two types of legal systems? I shoot that off. Now, gosh, that was quick. There you go. So if I ask ChatGPT this question, right, I'm going to get an answer, but I'm not going to get an answer that's based off of the textbook that I'm studying for this specific class at UWF, right?
Yes.
And so
Hmm.
this answer is not coming from the internet. It's coming from my textbook, and I can actually read the excerpts showing where that answer was found. Boom,
Gotcha.
there it is, right? And the beauty of this is similar to ChatGPT and these other large language models, you can break this information down to a number of different ways. For example, if I say break that into bullet points, I'm going to look at what we just did. Bam, there it is. I can then say expand that into an essay.
So you mentioned that Python, and I guess I can imply that maybe Python has a lot of libraries that does a lot of this stuff. Is that what you were kind of implying a little bit too?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily just Python, but
Uh-huh.
basically what this application is doing is it's bringing a number of technologies together.
Okay.
Basically, um, very fast searching plus
Okay.
um, um, AI, generative AI. That's what it's
Yeah.
doing. And
Yes.
the end result is essentially a very contextual um, AI model that understands what you've given it.
Yes.
And it will answer solely based on that information. So here we have an essay, and the essay, again, it's not based on the internet. It's based off of these excerpts that we
Yes.
provided. And
Gotcha.
actually, my favorite thing to do is, this is great for students. If I say, explain all that like I'm 5 years old, I use this one a lot.
And
Mind you,
yeah,
this
I
is a
think
college textbook. It'll break it down into language that a 5-year-old can understand.
yes. Hmm.
Yeah. And
So yeah.
so,
So that's an excellent thing to kind of help the student that's trying to learn. Yeah, so that's fantastic. Now, so what gave you the idea to also start trying to market to small businesses?
So that one was that's a great question. In networking, well, first off, when I was trying to get my business off the ground, the first thing I was advised to do was to go to some networking events.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
you shake hands with so many small businesses. It I still can't think of how many hands I've shaken just going to these
Yes,
networking events. And you
yes,
learn the struggles that they're going through.
yes.
And I realized very quickly that AI is a game changer, but it's not just a game changer for big businesses. In my opinion, AI is a better fit and it's more impactful for small businesses than it is for big businesses
Yes.
because big businesses have the manpower to hire, full-time employees to solve somewhat niche problems, right? But if you're a
Hmm.
small business owner, you don't have the luxury to hire another employee just willy-nilly to go
Yes.
do something that specific. You have to be
Right.
resourceful. And
Yes.
artificial intelligence allows you to leverage the employees you already have instead of just having to hire a new one outright. There's always going
Mm.
to be an advantage to having employees. In my
Yes.
opinion, if you're trying to replace your employees with AI, you're doing it wrong. And I'm not just saying in an ethical way, I'm talking in a quality way. A lot
Quality
of
way.
these big businesses have tried to replace their existing talent with AI, and people complain about it because the quality drops immediately.
Yeah.
And um, so basically, when I saw the need, and the other thing too is a lot of these small businesses they don't have the funds to hire a full-time developer like a big
Right.
business might, right? So
Right.
big businesses, if they really want a custom AI solution, they can probably hire a couple developers to build something just for them. But most
Hmm.
small businesses are just not in the position to do that. And that's where I was thinking Build a Brain could really help keep small businesses competitive
Hmm.
because I designed Build a Brain to have kind of the power of a custom artificial intelligence tool, but with the
Hmm.
affordability that small businesses could commit to
Yeah.
in a way that makes sense.
Yeah. So show us a small business application. I saw you had
Absolutely.
the chambers on there.
Yeah, the Pensacola Chamber. So this is actually, yeah, so I'm working with the Pensacola Chamber and the president Todd, great guy.
Yeah, I'm a board
So
member,
this
so
is yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah. So you yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
this is a
Todd,
good
yeah,
example.
Todd is really great. Yeah.
Basically imagine, okay, instead of uploading textbooks or study materials, what if we uploaded help articles and directories, right? And so the Pensacola Chamber is kind of a unique example. What we uploaded is the chamber events and the chamber directory, right?
Okay. Okay.
And what you can do is so now we have a little baby AI that's trained off of just the stuff that I provided from the chamber, right?
Okay.
And what we did is this is where the small businesses kick in. We have a share feature. This is something that you
Okay.
can't do with ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, you can share chats, but you can't share the chat
Right.
bot,
Right. Right.
basically, right? And so what this allows you
Hmm.
to do is kind of like a Google Doc. If you set it to private, only you can talk to it. But if you
Okay.
set it to public, you can copy and paste the link and send it to a buddy, or you can put
Okay.
it right on your website. So if I go
Gotcha.
here, open up a new window, this is what it looks like as a guest. And what will, yeah, just a second. Let's try. I had some sample prompts over here that we can just give a quick try.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm looking to buy my first house, right? So think customer support application, right? You can put this right on your website. If I
Okay.
type this in, submit it, what I'm going to get is I'm going to get Pensacola Chamber members, right, who can help me look for my first house, right?
Gotcha. Hmm.
And so now we've got instead of uploading study materials for you to research and learn, now we're uploading resources that we want our customers to have access to and have an easy time finding. And again, just like the study materials, we have the resources and the excerpts listed here so they can read further.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So
So it works the same way for events there too, right?
absolutely. Yes. So if I say what are some upcoming events in let's do February. There it is. And where did it get that information? Not from the internet. It just got it right from their directory. There's February.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
There
Gotcha.
it is.
Gotcha.
And so the applications on this are pretty extensive. If you're in IT, you can upload your help articles so that not to replace your customer support, right? But so that you can automate the handling of basic questions that you've already written help articles on, right? And then if someone is still stumped after, if they have somewhat of a unique problem, then they can call the phones and get a customer support person on the line. So this
Gotcha.
helps ease the traffic. Again, this is not replacing anybody. The idea is for it to ease the traffic to customer support so that they're only answering the questions that the help articles don't really address.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have like a really unique example or a different type of example for just a business by itself?
Yeah, sure. So for example, if we have, so the three use cases I give for businesses is AI powered research and study,
Okay.
AI powered customer support, and AI powered onboarding. So I'll show you
Okay.
the Center for Independent Living, just so you could see West. Let's hit their site real quick. It's like, why are we going to the Center for Independent Living? Great local resource, by the way.
Yes, it is.
And if we go here, we can see I got a little chat bot that's trained off of their help articles right here.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. Autoplay. And so if I type in, here's an example prompt that you can do. My dad is hard of hearing. How can I help him?
Okay.
Right. What it'll do is it's going to look for their resources through their help articles, if you will. It's going to say, you can help your dad by exploring the Florida Telecommunications Relay Program, which provides special phones for individuals with speech, hearing, or impairment. Right. And so in the same way that the reason I wanted to show this one off is because you can actually put this on your website. Right.
Yes, that's excellent.
And you can still have your phone number listed, right? But this kind of takes care of, it's better than a traditional search because with a traditional search, that kind of my motto for this is wherever you see a search bar, there should be a chat bot there. Because when you search for something, you get search results that are typically articles, and you have to personally dig through those articles and hope you find the answer, right? But once we use Buildabrain AI, not only is it searching for those search results, which we see here, but it's also reading those results and just returning the answer to you so you don't have to dig in and look for it yourself.
Right.
And so it saves a lot of time. This is one of the reasons why it's so helpful for students, but it's helpful for your clients and your visitors as well because you know, you can imagine how much time it takes to just do that for one question, right? What if you have 3 questions that you need answers to? The time
Yes.
adds up, and you don't want frustrated visitors hitting your site and not getting the answers that they need.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So that's definitely has um, value proposition there. So what kind of pricing things you offer small businesses?
Yeah, so pricing for small businesses starts at only $99.99 a month.
Okay.
And what you get with that, so students can actually get it for $19.99 a month,
Okay.
but what the students are missing is the ability to share your chatbots and put them on your
Gotcha.
website. And
Gotcha.
so that's where the advantage of being a small business and going for that $100 plan goes. But there's also application if you're just in a research heavy industry, right?
Yeah.
You know, you could get multiple, you could get students accounts for your employees and have
Okay.
them be lifelong learners. So there's application too. I'll actually show
Okay.
you, I'll show you one more. There's a
Okay.
YouTube feature that we have to where if you copy and paste a link, this is great for students and personal researchers,
Gotcha.
any business that's in research. If you copy and
Okay.
paste a YouTube link, what it's going to do, it'll actually create a chatbot based on the contents of the video.
Okay.
And so an example I could give here is we have a little virtual player here where you could just watch the video,
Okay.
but we could also say something like, give me some actionable marketing advice, right? Now, mind you, this video, it's a great watch, but it's an hour and 25 minutes,
Gotcha.
right? And I can get right to the meat and potatoes just by asking a couple of key questions, right? Actionable marketing advice from the excerpts: create and distribute content in a variety of formats and contexts to keep your audience engaged. Repetition and reminders are key, right? And where does it find the information? Again, it's not from the internet, it's from a source that you trust, right?
Yeah,
Um,
gotcha.
yeah. And actually,
Okay.
there's one more kind of special part to this that you don't get on typical brains. If I ask a question, what's your ad creation process? It'll give me the answer per usual, right? When I go to the excerpts, notice I have timestamps here. I can click those timestamps. It's going to take me to
Right to
that
that.
part of the video, so I could just keep watching.
Gotcha,
And
gotcha.
so this is a great way to just get to the meat and potatoes, get to the central topic, get the answers that you need and none of the information that you don't. So you don't have to sit and watch a full lecture uh, or online course or something like that. When you just need the fast answers and for you to, get a move on, it saves a lot of time.
All righty,
Yeah.
fantastic. So yeah, I think that's excellent there. So from so in closing, kind of closing out a little bit here. So your journey was like really, really interesting. So you were passionate about learning, so that's one thing we learned. And you didn't wait for somebody to teach you. You started exploring and going looking for yourself, and and then I guess uh, college really helped you, but the big break for you was getting the internship, from there. But during that, and if we connect the dots for the AI, they had you researching AI stuff, and so, but where did you actually learn to kind of research? I'm thinking out loud here. There's just something you learned from going to school, or what was that experience like?
Yeah, that's actually really, that is a whole, that topic could be its own video, right? Like, how do I
Yeah,
learn how to learn, right? There's
yeah,
so much resources on this, but it's a good question. I did very well in school, just
okay,
kind of as a general rule. And so, but one of the reasons why I did well in school was um, because I knew that my grade was, some teachers are better than others. I had some
mm,
amazing, amazing teachers, right?
okay,
That transformed my life, quite a bit. But some teachers, they're really sweet people, but they're not great teachers, right? And so push comes
right,
to shove, you're still the one who has to stick with your grade, right? And so,
yes,
basically, how to, not to be long-winded, but for me, I had to learn how to teach myself, how to study myself,
okay,
because I couldn't always rely on my teachers to teach me everything I needed in preparation for a test. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people can relate to that. But I will say this is for me, if you just say, well, I couldn't pass the class because my teacher was, not the best, right? It's not it's not to your advantage, right? That you take on that, I don't want to say a victim mindset per se, right?
yeah,
But at the end of the day, you got to take responsibility, right? Things are not always fair,
yeah.
but they're going to be a lot worse if you don't give it your best effort.
That's
And so,
fantastic. Yeah.
and that goes into, like, how did I learn to be a good researcher? Because I taught myself as though my grade depended on it, right? And so,
Fantastic.
you do
Yeah.
that for 12 years, and then through college, especially with COVID, I had to learn how to teach myself because a lot of that stuff was online, and that's just not how I learned. So, um, you just got to force yourself to learn how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope everybody's kind of see that your traits and your personality and your attitude and mindset towards learning and being curious about stuff, how that actually made a difference. Instead of waiting on somebody to show you how to do everything, learn how to learn so you can kind of see how to move forward a lot faster. And I do run into a lot of founders that some of them do actually wait for somebody to show them or tell them something. That it doesn't work that way. You got to be curious and really go after it. So, but not so we don't belong to time. So, what are kind of your parting thoughts? For founders and anybody out there?
parting thoughts for founders. Um, I would say don't be afraid to take calculated risks. I think that's really important. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would not recommend just all in out, like just go for and gamble everything on your business idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the
Mm-hmm.
type of risk I'm talking about. But in order to start your own business, you can't be completely risk averse. You're going to have to take on some sort of risk. And the question is the risk that I'm taking on acceptable or is it not acceptable? Um, and for me, like pulling money from savings to start my business, that was a risk, right? But I did the
Mm-hmm.
math on it first, right? That's okay.
Okay.
Um, that's big. And then number one, yeah, I would say like the number one thing, if you're starting your own business, you got to have a purpose for your business that's beyond the business. For
Yes.
me, you know, um, purpose beyond the business. It's like, yes, I want to help people, right? Well, actually, I think Thomas Aquinas, he said that anything that's an end to itself, that's not God, is an idol, right? And so if
Mm-hmm.
I'm just starting my business solely to make money and that's the end of it, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
an idol. I don't want
Okay.
that, right? Ultimately, for me, if you want your business to not last forever, but to have an eternal impact, you got to do it for the glory of God. That's
Yeah.
super important to me. Um,
Yeah.
you know, everything passes away, but you know the things that we do while we're here to the glory of God, that stuff
Mm-hmm.
resonates in eternity. And it's the least we could do for a God who made us and took such good care of us.
Yeah.
That's
So
super important to me.
yeah. So I'm glad because that appears to be part of your foundation is that what you learn studying the Bible and everything. It seemed to be a part of you. And I think you were mentioning before we came on air about this quote, and I don't remember the quote, but it, just uh, the the Bible actually applies to every part of your life, not
That's right.
like your business part or every part of your life. And some people don't understand. So, what was that quote you were saying?
Yeah, it's I believe it was Abraham Kuyper. He says, "All of Christ for all of life."
Yes.
I love that quote. And there's actually, specifically on work, there's one by Martin Luther that I like. It's a Christian is a Christian shoemaker does not merely put little crosses in the stitches of his shoes, but he makes his shoes with excellence because God appreciates good craftsmanship. So basically, the Bible verse version of that is whatever you do it for the glory of God, right? Whether you eat or drink, right?
Okay. Okay.
And so, you don't have to be a pastor per se. Being a pastor I have great respect for pastors. I have awesome pastors in my church. But that's not the only way to glorify God. I can glorify God in my small business, if I run it with integrity, if I use it to love my neighbor.
Hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, I big shout out to my dad. My dad raised me up in a Christian home in the fear of the Lord. The whole business. If my business, made a pentillion dollars, right? But I
Hmm.
didn't have Jesus, the whole thing would be a bust. You know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I think I appreciate you sharing the insight and your story, and I think it will help. Like some of the comments say, it was very inspirational, and so just yeah. And I definitely love your story. And so, alrighty. So I think we can kind of shut off if you just hang around a little bit. So we'll see everybody next week. I appreciate you hanging in and listening. And then at the end of at the end of the video, there's going to be another little short video. So feel free to just hang around and watch that. But Daniel and I are going to sign off. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Here's a detailed breakdown of our Black Founders Program achievements and components. Program Reach and Impact, Global Reach, supporting over 500 founders worldwide, focusing on Black founders who often encounter systemic barriers in the startup ecosystem. Training and cohorts, delivered structured, hands-on training over the past 2 years. 9 30-day business model design cohorts, guided founders through designing scalable business models using the Lean Stack platform. 3 90-day launch programs, supported startups in validating demand, launching solutions, and refining their offerings. Our first Black Founders Innovation Summit attracted 92 in-person attendees and 182 registrants, included networking events, speaker presentations, and panel discussions to provide diverse perspectives and practical insights. Training platforms used: LeanStack, focused on scalable business model design and launch, with practical tools for customer discovery and validation. Startup Science provides education tailored to each phase of the startup lifecycle. Co-Founder OS measures entrepreneurial skills, offers certifications, and provides frameworks for building confidence in navigation the startup ecosystem. Patent Hacks trains founders on intellectual property, including patents and trademarks, to protect and leverage their innovations. Key goals and focus areas: knowledge and resource bridging. Helps founders acquire critical startup knowledge, connections, and opportunities to secure funding and resources. Scalable solutions emphasizes building sustainable, scalable business models to ensure long-term success. Diversity and inclusion supports Black founders by providing a space where their unique challenges and perspectives are addressed. Event highlights: over 200 consecutive weekly startup founder best practices events since October 2020. These provide ongoing support, practical insights, and networking opportunities for founders. 10 demo days, which serve as accountability milestones where founders pitch present progress, e.g. the 3P progress report, persevere, pivot, or pause. Focus on wealth creation in emerging industries, encouraging Black founders to participate in opportunities like AI and other tech innovations. The Black Founders Program reflects our strong commitment to equipping Black entrepreneurs with the tools, knowledge, and ecosystem connections they need to succeed.